Good morning. Welcome. Tashi Delay. My name is Anilisa. I'm a Tibetan Buddhist nun. I'm a registered nurse and I'm part of the family of Kunde Institute. And we're happy to be here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just bringing you these Facebook Live events, just to kind of help us weather this storm we're going through right now, help us in our current situations. On Mondays and Fridays, Dr. Kelzang is here and she's doing some classes on self-care, self-healing, things you can do at home to boost your immunity, diet recommendations, things like that to kind of make life a little better while you're all home right now. And on Wednesdays, we're doing these meditations. So bear with me if you were here last week. For the new people, we'll just do a little brief review. And I'm going to apologize in advance. My allergies are acting up, so I hope I'm not going to sneeze in the middle of this, but I apologize if I do. Anyway, let's start with why we meditate. Why do we meditate? What's the purpose of this? Well, we meditate to train our minds. You can think of an athlete or a musician. You wouldn't just go out to play a sport and be the best you could be on the first day, or pick up an instrument and suddenly know how to play it. You'd have to practice. You'd start slow, you'd build up, you'd learn the basics and work your way up until you mastered whatever it is you wanted to work on. And what are we training our minds to do? What are we training for? Well, we're training our minds to focus. Because when we focus, we can calm our minds and we create space. So we're better able to deal with life, with anything that comes at us when we can create this calm in this space. We say in Buddhism that we have something called monkey mind, where, you think of monkeys jumping through the tree screaming and, because we've got thoughts, emotions, memories, to-do lists, all these things that are just constantly racing around in our heads. And when we can calm our minds and create some space, excuse me, we learn to deal with these. We kind of can turn down the volume. We can't make them go away. We can't make them disappear. We're not trying to ignore them because they're always going to be there. But if we can kind of just not pay as much attention to them, like I said, turn the volume down, that helps. So it's recommended if you have an established practice, stick with what you're doing if it works. Meditation is very individual. So what works for you may not work for me, vice versa. So if you've got something that works, stick with it. If you want to add these things in, that's great. But if you're just starting out, it's recommended that you do a brief meditation twice a day. We say D&D, dawn and dusk. So it's good if you get up in the morning before you start your day, just find a quiet place to just sit for a few minutes and focus on your breath, just sort of set your intentions for the day. And then in the evening before you go to bed, same thing, just find a quiet space and take a minute or two to just focus on your breath and kind of let go of the day. Anything good or bad that happens, just let it go because it's over, it's done with. We can't go back and change it. Let it go and know that the next day is a new day and you get a fresh start. And you keep trying, you'll have good days and bad days. You'll have days where you forget to meditate, and that's fine. There's no pressure on any of this. It's not a contest. Nobody's winning. We're just doing this for ourselves. And that's why it's called practice. You just keep at it until we get better. So today we're going to do 2 types of meditation. The first one is going to be a concentration or stabilization meditation, where we're going to focus on our breath. And this is just to train our minds to focus. That's what we're doing that for. And I said we're going to use our breath. So our breath is always with us. So you could do this anywhere. Just don't have to buy any special equipment. We can always focus on our breath. And the second is going to be a guided or an analytical meditation where we're examining a concept or an idea, or we're trying to work through a problem. And today we're going to talk about patience. I think it's a good time now for all of us to work on developing patience. And we do these in combination because when we've mastered the first one or we've gotten better at focusing our minds, it allows us to create that space and that clarity to work on the second one, to really examine the issue or the problem or the concept that we're working on. So they kind of work hand in hand. Our hope is to develop sort of a laser-like focus with our breathing meditation so that we can really use that laser-like focus to deal with the issue that we're dealing with. So we'll start just some basics, our positioning. So you can be seated in a chair, you can be seated on the floor. I prefer to sit in a chair. Again, it's what's comfortable for you. So when the body is comfortable and can settle, the mind will settle. If you're uncomfortable, if your back hurts, or you're in an awkward position, or you're trying to sit lotus style on the floor and it hurts, your mind will never settle down. All you're going to be thinking about is what hurts. So if you're seated in a chair, or again on the floor, you want to be sitting up nice and straight. And we do that for a couple reasons. One, because it allows our lungs to expand. When we're sitting up nice and straight, we can open up our chest and we can get the air into our lungs, take nice deep breaths. And because we have energy channels, it's said, that run alongside our spine. So when we're sitting up nice and straight, we're not crimping those channels, we're allowing the energy to flow. If you're in a chair, you want your feet just on the floor. That sort of just makes us feel grounded, creates that connection with the earth. And your hands can rest in your lap. There's a traditional posture in meditation with the right on the left. I'll go up here with the thumbs touching, and you can kind of have that just sort of in your lap below your navel. But if that feels uncomfortable, feels awkward, don't need to do that. Again, just can have your hands resting on your lap. Shake out your shoulders a little bit. We tend to carry a lot of tension in our neck and our shoulders, and they creep up and we don't even realize it. So sit up nice and tall, relax our neck, relax our shoulders. And as I said, we're going to focus on our breath. That's going to be our point of focus for this first one. And we're just going to breathe normally, in and out, regular pace. We're going to use 2 points to focus on. The first can be like the sensation of your breath coming in at your nostrils or the rise and fall of your chest. And our second will add something to it to really help our minds focus, because our minds want to be distracted. That's what they want to do. So we can either count our breaths, trying to count to 10, achieve a count of 10 on the exhalation without getting distracted. And you will get distracted, I guarantee you. Or you can just think breathing in, breathing out, sort of like a mantra. Or if you have a mantra and you want to say that over and over, that's fine too. Again, just something to help our minds stay focused. And as I said, you will get distracted. And there may be distractions here. I have a dog, she might bark. I hope not. I might sneeze. I hope not. But we just let those fade into the background. It's said that our minds are clear and knowing. You can think of a clear blue sky on a sunny day, not a cloud in sight, just expansive and endless blue sky. And that's what our minds are. And the distractions, the noises, the thoughts, the feelings, the to-do lists, they're just clouds. They could be fluffy little happy clouds, or they could be big dark storm clouds, but they're just clouds and they're going to pass by. And behind them at all times, no matter how many clouds there are, even when the sky is completely obscured with clouds, that clear sky is behind it. So our mind is always, that clear and knowing sensation is always there behind those clouds. So I have a timer, and I'm going to set it for 5 minutes. So we'll focus on our breath for these 5 minutes. You'll hear a bell at the beginning, you'll hear a bell at the end, and then we'll move on to our guided meditation. And before we set the timer, let's just take a couple deep breaths, really nice, big, deep breaths to just sort of settle into this space and sort of create this feeling of togetherness and just being here in this space together. So we'll take a nice deep breath in for 3, slight pause, and then a nice deep exhalation for 3. And we'll do this 2 more times. Breathe in, slight pause, nice deep breath out, and 1 more. Deep breath in, slight pause, nice deep breath out, and we'll begin. that was 5 minutes. If that felt like maybe it was a little too long for you, next time you do this on your own, start with 2 or 3 minutes and you build your way up. And if it felt okay, when you do this on your own, add a minute or two. Again, you want to go slow. You don't want to go from 5 minutes to an hour because it's going to be difficult to do. And you want your meditation to be enjoyable. You want to leave with a sense of accomplishment, like you've done a good job, not like, oh my gosh, I had to sit through an hour and it almost killed me. So we want it to be an enjoyable experience. So now we'll move on to our second meditation. Again, I said this will be on developing patience and the importance of being patient. So if you need to shift a little bit in your chair to get comfortable, kind of reposition a little bit, that's okay. I don't recommend getting up and walking around between your meditations unless you really need to, because you've got a real bit of ache or pain that needs to be relieved, because it kind of breaks that space that you've created. We want to kind of stay in this quiet space. So before we begin our guided meditation, we'll offer our motivation and then we'll close with a dedication. And we do that for a reason, that we believe in Buddhism, that seals in the merit, the positive karma that we've created by taking this time to do this positive action. And in Buddhism, our motivation is always the highest motivation, that of bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is just simply the determination on our own to achieve our own awakening, to be the best that we can be, so that we can be of the greatest benefit to others. Again, we'll take a few deep breaths to settle back in. So a nice deep breath in. Pause. Breathe out. And we'll do one more. Nice deep breath in. And breathe out. So patience. What's the definition of patience? Well, patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. When we think about anger and stress, it ruins our health, it ruins our well-being. Physically, anger causes our body to produce stress hormones, increases our blood pressure, our heart rate, makes us breathe faster, we're not taking deep breaths. So physically, it has cardiovascular effects long-term. It can decrease our immunity, make us more likely to catch infections. That's not something we want right now. We need all the immunity we can get right now. And anger and stress ages us. It wears us out. Anger makes us ugly. Think of someone with an angry face. Is that a beautiful face? I don't think so. I don't think any of us want to look like that. So we want to develop patience, because when we develop patience, it allows us to remain calm, to focus, and to be flexible in the face of difficulties and issues and troubles. In Buddhism, we believe that just a moment of anger destroys just eons of merit and positive karma that we've created. And it creates the conditions for us to experience more suffering, more anger and hardships. So patience is actually the antidote, the cure for anger. So how do we develop patience? Well, we start by recognizing, understanding the damage that it does. Again, the physical damage, blood pressure, immune system. Being patient makes us healthier, being patient. When we think of the emotional and psychological damage it causes, it ruins our friendships, can ruin our relationships, can hurt us with our job. I mean, if the boss is criticizing you and you snap back at him and you say something you didn't want to say, you could lose your job, you could get fired. So there's serious consequences to anger. And when we're patient, we keep our perspective, helps us maintain our perspective. When we're angry, we're sort of in the center of the storm. We really can't see. Everything looks huge to us. But when we have patience, we can take that step back. We can take that pause. It helps us gain perspective and think, how important is this issue? Are the repercussions of my getting angry and snapping at someone, saying something I don't want to say, are they worth it? So it helps us make better decisions. It helps us develop some self-discipline, which of course is important in all areas of our life. We develop patience by recognizing that it has a purpose. This anger, this suffering, these problems, they're our teacher. They motivate us to find a solution to this problem. Our enemy is not the problem or the person that's making us angry. Our enemy is the anger itself. In Buddhism, we say that our enemy is our greatest teacher. In the 8th century, a great Buddhist master named Shantideva wrote a book called the Bodhicharyavatara, the Bodhisattva's Guide to the Way of Life. And a bodhisattva is just a person, like we said, with bodhicitta, someone who's on the path to Buddhahood, to awakening. And a bodhisattva's goal is to be of the greatest benefit to others, to help others. So Shantideva wrote a chapter on patience in this book. And in it he wrote, "Patience is the supreme virtue, and other beings are the cause of it. It's my fault if I'm not patient, obstructing my own practice. How can the one who's the cause of my patience ever be called an obstacle?" So again, patience is our teacher. Anger is our teacher, and it helps us develop patience. We develop patience by recognizing that it's an inside job. No one can do this for us. We have to do it ourselves. We can only change ourselves. We can't change others. We can't change what they say or do or think. All we can control is our reaction to those things. So when we develop patience, we can react in a positive manner. It helps us develop that space again to decide, do we want to react to this? And if we're going to react, will we react positively, not negatively, creating that merit, that positive karma? And it helps us develop empathy and compassion for those who are suffering from anger. As we can look at this angry person and think, wow, look at all the negativity they're creating. Look at all the suffering they're going through to be so angry. So we develop some empathy, some compassion for them, because we know that they're creating all this horrible negativity for themselves. And especially in this time right now where we need to be patient. This is sort of the ultimate compassion for others, because I know we all want to go back to the shopping malls and the restaurants and see our friends, but we need to be patient because it's not time yet. So by being patient, we're showing compassion for ourselves by staying home, and for others because we're protecting ourselves from this virus and we're protecting it from spreading it to others. And we're, lessening the burden on our healthcare systems and protecting our frontline providers by staying home and being patient. So especially during this time we're in now, it's important to practice patience. And most important, when we develop patience, is to remember to slow down and breathe. That's the most important step when we're in a bad situation. Or in a stressful situation, stop. You find yourself kind of getting ramped up. Just recognize it. That's the first step, recognizing that, that anger, that stress is building, and stop. And just take a breath. Because just that act of pausing and taking a deep breath will create some space, kind of help us step back like we talked about earlier. And it takes practice. It's not easy, and we'll make mistakes. But we start with small situations. Start with, you're stuck in traffic, or the Zoom meeting started late, or your roommate or your kids are making you crazy. Start with that, the smaller situations. And then you work your way up to the bigger, the more stressful situations, the relationship issues, the job issues. Again, it's practice. We start small and we work our way up. We will develop these skills. It will work. I promise you. And that's why the meditation helps. Because when we can meditate on our breath and develop this focus, create this space, that helps us deal with these situations in life. So it helps us develop our mindfulness, our awareness of the situation. So we become more aware that anger, that stress is arising, and we can sort of nip it in the bud. And it also helps us when we learn to focus, to filter out the distractions so we can focus on the problem at hand and use the tools that we've developed to deal with it. So we'll kind of end our meditation here with a little more from Shantideva's chapter on patience. Shantideva wrote, "Merits painstakingly gathered over 1,000 eons will be destroyed in a flash of anger. Therefore, there's no virtue like patience, which I must strive to cultivate. While under the influence of anger, no joy, peace, or sleep is to be found. An angry man is in danger of being attacked even by those who depend upon his kindness. He will be abandoned by friends and lose all happiness and peace. Recognizing the faults of anger, I must persevere in overcoming it in order to find peace. Being unhappy and not getting what I want or getting what I don't want is the fuel of anger. Therefore, I must destroy this unhappy mind, which causes my downfall. Whatever happens, let my joy be undisturbed, for dissatisfaction is fruitless and destroys my virtue. If a problem can be remedied, Why worry? And if a problem cannot be remedied, then what is the use of worrying? And His Holiness says that often. If we can fix it, fix it. If we can't, let it go. So in conclusion, Shanti Deva said, patience brings us good reputation, beauty, health, long life, and peace. We'll offer our dedication, that any merit, the positive karma that we created by taking this time today out of our day to focus on our breath, to help our minds focus and to contemplate how important patience is. We'll dedicate that merit to our own awakening, our own development of bodhicitta, so that we can be of the greatest benefit to all others. So you've had your eyes closed. You can slowly open them, sort of bring yourself out of your meditation gently. So I hope you found this helpful. We're taping these, so if something happened, you got distracted, phone rang, whatever, you can rewatch it at a more convenient time. And I hope I'll see you again next Wednesday, same time, 10:30 here on Facebook Live. In the meantime, I wish you good health. I wish you happiness. Stay home, wash your hands, be patient. This too shall pass. We will get through this together. Don't forget to breathe. And most important, be kind, take care of each other. Tudiche, thank you.